I've spent most of my day today doing some more stripping of the Mustang, removing the fuel tank, wiring harness and ECU, as well as all the fuel lines, which is I think 5/16 feet and a 1/4 inch return. I did order some fuel line, and I even ordered a fancy flare tool for doing the brake lines, and it'll also do fuel lines. But had a heck of a time finding these. But the more I look at it, I don't need to replace these because they have there's nothing wrong with them, and I can buy this nylon tubing to replace that if I need to. Nylon fuel tube. And I guess the trick is you get boiling water, put this tubing or the end you need to use to fit on the connector in boiling water, because it literally starts to get soft at like 200 and what was it, 12 or 20 or whatever the heck that is for anyway, boiling water. And if you get it too hot, it melts. So I guess boiling water is just perfect. So I'm going to try to straighten this out. It's a pretty stiff steel tubing. I don't know how good that's going to be. But my thought is also, if I need to, with that tubing that I bought, I can just put flares on it and do this, or I could even cut a tubing in the straight spot, put a flare and a fitting in the middle, because brake line, there's like 3,000 psi, so it's way over what a fuel line would need. So I don't see any reason I couldn't flare and put fittings on fuel lines for the feed and the return if I need to. Same thing with the rear before it goes in the tank, or the filter in the tank. The fuel tank's not going to fit in this truck. The width is it's too wide and it's all weird shape. But my plan is to just throw it in the bed in the beginning here just to get it running again. And then I'll see which kind of fuel tank I want to use long term, which will probably be, I think it's the late 60s Mustang. You can get replacement fuel tanks with a new EFI pump in it. So that's probably what I'll end up doing long term. But as with a lot of this project, I don't want to go spending a bunch of money and so early on before I'm very far along, and I can easily come back, strip that out, and put a in-frame tank in the back once I get to that point. Because the fuel lines and everything this will work. It's soft lines to the tank anyway. Even the factory stuff, you can see how much soft line there is. So I don't see, I could run hard line clear to the back about where I'm gonna put the Mustang tank and supply fuel to connections of this, and then at least get it running before I dump more money into that side of it. So I'll give that a go, straightening that fuel line. See how horribly that goes. I've read online different ways of doing it. Pulling it helps straighten it, using blocks of wood, put it in a vise. I don't know if we're going to buy a $100 tubing straightener, the thing with the rollers on it, yet. So it doesn't have to be perfectly straight for this, since it's going to be along the frame. Ain't nobody going to see it anyway. But this isn't going to work. This is way out of whack, so we'll see if I can get it straightened out. So making some progress on my fuel line straightening here. It's coming out pretty well. I've been taking the kinks out of the back here because I'm not sure what I'll end up doing back there by the fuel tank and stuff. But it ain't looking terrible. I mean, it looks terrible, but it's it's going in one direction sort of now. I had this old roller thing. I don't know what it's off of, so I just been laying the line in here and just real easily kind of working it while I'm pushing it down. And that's considered, I just took out several 90s and I haven't kinked the line. I'd say that's pretty decent. I don't know. I'll still might end up ordering a straightener. I don't know, but I did find some old door rollers that would fit this fine. I've seen guys make, I was looking stuff up on the internet, guys, you get 8 of these and you can make a little tool to straighten this thing, since a lot better. And that I might not have to do, I might end up doing that anyway with all the brake line and stuff that I've got to run. If I can't just lay it out on the floor and kind of straighten it out, That might end up be what I end up doing anyway, just because I've got a lot of line to run all over the place. So $100 ain't that bad, I guess, for saving me a lot of headache. But this is working out okay. So I'm pretty happy with this so far. In my scrounging around, looking just what I had laying around to help straighten this steel tubing out, I've got this Harbor Freight pipe bender, and I got to thinking, if I set these rollers, you know, at a certain spacing, it's a rudimentary pipe tube straightener, and it does work. Obviously it's wavy, so if you're going for perfection, this ain't gonna do it. But I did a lot of this by hand, using this little thing, just pushing it in here and just kind of working the bends out, pushing it against this so it's chamfered in there to kind of keep it from kinking, just real easily working the tube in and out of there. But once I got it fairly straight, I brought it out to this thing, and I'm kind of just rolling it through, turning it, you know, twisting. It's not going to take the little whoop-de-doos out of it, but it's definitely straightening it out, I think, pretty well. So I'm going to keep, this is the 1/4 inch line. I haven't done the 5/16. In fact, I've already got the 5/16 running the frame, just test fitting it. The frame here is boxed, so I decided to go in behind it and pop out. You can kind of see, maybe not, the lines there, and it goes in behind that adjuster and then into the box frame, and then, darn it, focus, and then pops out back here. I'm going, oh, this is terrible, sorry. Going inside the frame, you can see the line there. The frame already got some cutouts along the cross members, so I was able to just snake it right through there. So should have plenty of room to get the 1/4 inch in there as well. But I'll probably pull this back out now that I know this works and straighten that line out even more. My thought is here is to work the line. I need to go backwards with it, but come out here and then kind of put a bend in it, and then it'll change the nylon hose to get up in there. But I'm kind of concerned about this angle right there, if that's too tight for that nylon hose, if that's going to be prone to kink. So I might end up having to take out this steel line and run up, clear up into here from the frame. So of course, I guess I can bend this stuff too, now that I think about it. I could just bend it so it's kind of pointing back this way more, so it's not such a steep angle. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. See how that goes. So this ain't pretty, but I think it's gonna work okay. I'm having a hell of a time with these nylon fuel lines, getting them installed. This started out as a 10-foot roll. I bet I'm down to 4 feet. I've had to redo and redo and redo. So this is what I'm doing here. I've got the steel lines coming out, and I'm just terminating them on this end's easy. I could just heat that piece up, get it good and hot, and it'll slide in the tube. For some reason, I have a heck of a time putting it on the steel lines, that no matter what I tried the boil of water trick. I've got a heat gun. I've tried lubing the line, and I could get it to the first barb, and I would end up ruining the line before I could get it to the second barb. So what I've come up with is I'd come across a comment somewhere of making a block, drilling a block and then cutting it and using it as a grip. And I guess this is how the tool you buy uses. So I've just split a 2x4, and then I heated just the end of this hose up until it got malleable. Got to be real careful though, it melts really easy too. That's what I've learned. That's some of the waste has gone to heating that up too much. The boiled water just didn't work. I boiled this for 4 minutes, and maybe it's this brand of tube. It's a Dorman tube. It says Fomoco on it, so it's probably a factory Ford tubing. But even boiling the water does not get this tubing very soft, so the heat gun works good. So what I did on this line here is I warmed that up while it was pinched in the block, but I also heated the line up. quite a bit too, to get it to slide all the way on there. And this has been a Bearcat, so I'm tempted to go buy another brand of tubing just to see if I have the same fight or if it's just this particular tubing. But I've been messing with this for a couple hours just to get this piece. I've had to put it on little ways and I had to cut it all back off again. So now I'm doing, that's the return line, this is the pressure line. So I'm going to do it next. And with this little thing here, hopefully I can warm it up, but not too hot, just to where it gets kind of squishy. And then also adding, I put a little Crisco on here. You can use motor oil or something. I heard that was fine to do, just to lube that up a little bit more. Yeah, I'm almost frustrated how difficult this is, but I think I've got something down that'll work. So we'll go forth with this little guy and see if I can get the other one on without ruining it 10 times. Here's the fuel line that I bought. Dorman part number 800-074. That's 10 feet that came in that. And if you're like me, you're going to need every inch of it. I wanted to show where the other ends come out too, in case anybody else wants to strip fuel lines out of a Mustang and do the same thing I have. So this is where I've ended up. So you got the front cross member here, and then the back I end up right there on the axle. You can see the little hump. I haven't straightened these out or figured out. I'm not sure where I'm going to put the tank and all that stuff just yet, so I left these as they were in the car. But it's kind of funny once I straighten the lines out how perfectly they actually fit the length of this chassis. The Mustang's quite a bit shorter, but there were so many kinks and bends and stuff in it that when you straighten them out, make a straight shot, you end up really right where you're going to want to be on this pickup. So it looks a little janky straightening the lines up, but unless you're going for perfection underneath where nobody's going to see, I don't really see that being a big deal. Assuming you can straighten them out without kinking them, which I have thus far, I don't see this being a problem doing this. You don't have to always put, and I like hard lines versus soft lines, even if they're, you know, good rated lines. I prefer going hard metal when you can, hard lines. And here we are looking from the other side. I haven't put any the fasteners on the frame yet. I'll do that after a while. The main thing was just to get them in there, but the lines run, there's slots in all the cross members and everything run all the way from the front to the back, at least with the factory cross members. So it made putting the lines in slick and easy once they were straightened out. And no joke, these are all the pieces I went through getting that fuel line to fit. So I would go straight to making a block of wood like this, just drill a hole down the middle of it, split it in half, and then use some clamps to clamp it together on that line when you go to push it on it. This made all the difference in the world, so I definitely recommend doing that. Or go buy the fancy tool, but I'm cheap, so that wasn't going to happen. Went ahead and ran the tank vent line as well. Popped it out in the same spot, so I'll put the purge or whatever that vacuum canister, charcoal canister thing is out here on this fender well. So I'll just run a little tube up from there. And that's actually a brand new line. I didn't bother taking the vent line out of the Mustang because it's not full length. It goes part of the way and then turns into vacuum line. So I wanted to go hard line the whole way. So I just left it coiled up here on the other end as well with these other lines until I get the fuel tank kind of more squared away.